Welcome back to your one-stop destination for captivating recaps. If you're new to the channel, congratulations. You're in for a treat. Today, we're diving into another thrilling recap. So, grab your popcorn, sit back, and get ready to be mesmerized.
For today's video, I'm going to recap a 2018 Japanese superhero film called INUYASHIKI. The movie is about INUYASHIKI Ichiro, a 58-year-old man, and a high schooler named Hiro Shishigami. The two get hit by a blinding light that turns them into a cyborg. So while Ichiro uses his power to help those in need, Hiro uses his power to kill off all those who are hostile to him. So without further ado, let's find out if Ichiro will be able to save Japan from Hiro and his evil mind. The movie begins with INUYASHIKI and his family moving into their new house. INUYASHIKI does his best to keep his family happy, but his family often treats him like trash and takes him for granted. Ichiro did the best he could with the money he had been saving for years, but the kids still didn't like the house. He tries to lighten the mood by telling them he bought their favorite food, but they ignore him and go out for dinner, leaving him behind to eat alone. The next day at work, INUYASHIKI gets yelled at because he got the estimate wrong. His boss believes he's pulling everyone down. Later that day, as he travels back home, he walks through a dark alley only to see a group of robbers assaulting a man for money. Initially, he thinks of helping the man, but he is too much of a wimp to actually do it. Just as he turns around, he notices Mari disapprovingly watching him. Before storming off, she calls him out for being a disgusting coward. Back at home, Ichiro sits on the porch, reflecting on his life when a random dog enters their house. There's a note on her collar that says, "Her name is Hanako. Please take care of her." Ichiro feels bad for the dog and wants to take him in, but his wife is completely against it. She then gives him his medical report, which suggests that he requires further examination. The next day, Ichiro visits the hospital and accidentally overhears that he has third-stage cancer. Given that it has spread throughout his body, he only has a few months to live. In shock over the news, he returns home and calls his family members one by one, but they are too busy to answer their phones. Once everyone's back home, Ichiro once again attempts to tell them about his illness, but nobody is willing to listen to what he has to say. His kids misbehave and leave, while his wife reminds him to get rid of the dog. Later that night, Ichiro takes Hanako on a walk, and in that moment, he wonders whether his family will shed any tears upon finding out about his illness. He then leaves Hanako by the staircase with a heavy heart and runs away to a park. He's surprised to see that the dog has followed him there. Ichiro apologizes to the dog while crying once he realizes that he is the only one who cares about him. He notices another man sitting on a park bench in front of him when suddenly a glow appears in the sky and keeps getting bigger and bigger until it strikes Ichiro and the man standing next to him. We then hear some muffled alien noises and the screen blacks out. The next morning, Ichiro wakes up in the park while Hanako is still hanging around him. He notices his glasses are broken, but he can see just fine without them. Without giving it much thought, he goes about his day. He tries to sneak inside the house with the dog, but his wife catches him and asks him where he was last night. Assuming that he got drunk and slept at the station, the family eats breakfast when all of a sudden, Ichiro feels sick. Inside his room, his hand transforms into a weapon-like device and pukes out the breakfast he just had. He is even more terrified when the electric system in his head cracks open his face and his entire body transforms into a machine. Later, we find out that the boy who got hit by the strange lightning with Ichiro in the park is actually Mari's classmate named Hiro. After school, Hiro visits his friend, Naoyuki, and shows him how he can shoot a bird with his finger. Naoyuki is shocked to see this and asks Hiro how he did that. Hiro tells him that it was just a magic trick. Later, the boys go to a parking lot where Hiro continues to show Naoyuki his strange abilities, which include moving cars with his mind. So, while Naoyuki gets baffled by Hiro's strength, Hiro reveals that he's no longer a human. On the other hand, Ichiro remains confused about this morning's events. Once again, he receives a warning for doing a poor job at work. On his way back home, he comes across a dying pigeon by the side of the road, but once he picks it up, the bird suddenly recovers and flies away. Following a high-pitched noise and improved hearing, Ichiro listens to a mother begging the doctors to save her son. He follows the noise to a hospital where a sick child is lying on the bed. He touches his face, and the child begins to recover just like the pigeon. Shocked to see the boy open his eyes, Ichiro happily informs him that he has recovered and leaves while the doctor and his mother are shocked to see his recovery. The next day at school, Naoyuki gets bullied by his classmates until Hiro steps in and stops the bully. As he's about to attack the boy with his power, Naoyuki stops him. Later, a girl named Shion, who has a crush on Hiro, confesses her love, but he walks away after thanking her. On his way back home, he calls his mother, who is a waitress in a restaurant, while his father is a wealthy man who abandoned his family for another woman. Although Hiro dislikes his father, he plans to have dinner with him and his other family at his mother's request. Although Hiro's step-siblings enjoy spending time with him and are always happy to see him, he can only pretend to like them out of sympathy for his mother. Seeing his father happy with his new family, Hiro points his finger towards him to kill him, but then changes his mind. On his way back home, the memory of his father's new happy life haunts him. Unable to control his anger, he breaks into a house in the middle of the night and brutally murders the whole family. Meanwhile, Ichiro heals a lot of kids in the hospital when he suddenly hears a voice of a girl asking for help. He rushes to her house only to find out that she is dead. He tries to use his power to heal the girl, but unfortunately, he can't bring people back to life. Ichiro enters the room and finds Hiro standing next to the dead bodies. Hiro attacks Ichiro, but he stays unharmed. On the next day, stories about the murder are all over the media. Now Yuki suspects Hiro is responsible for the murder because there were no bullets discovered. To keep his mouth shut, Hiro offers Naoyuki a lot of money, but Naoyuki refuses to take it and confronts Hiro about the murders. Naoyuki finds it hard to believe how simple it is for Hiro to murder innocent people, so he wants to stop being his friend and tells him not to come around his house anymore. Later, when Hiro gets home, he is shocked to find out that his mother has pancreatic cancer. As he cries in her arms, he promises that he won't let her die. Back at Ichiro's house, his son is caught stealing cash from his mother's purse, while Mari, who has been skipping school, doesn't want to study further. So, while the family is arguing, Ichiro claims that he will look out for everyone. Mari laughs at his father's absurdity and tells his mom that he hasn't been going to work. She further reveals that her mother's having an affair with a younger man and that Takeshi is being bullied at school, all because Ichiro doesn't make enough money. By saying all that, she successfully manages to make him feel like a bad father and husband. So that night, Ichiro bursts into tears and has a breakdown in his room. That's when suddenly he hears Naoyuki praying to God to stop his friend from killing people. This reminds Ichiro of his power and gives him new hope for life. He flies over to meet Naoyuki, and after some discussion, they conclude that Ichiro and Hiro were transformed into cyborgs by some kind of higher life form. To help Ichiro stop Hiro from killing more people, Naoyuki offers to train him. The next day, they meet in an abandoned garage where Naoyuki teaches Ichiro how to shoot through his fingers. Ichiro finally succeeds after numerous failed attempts, but he still needs to improve. In the meantime, Hiro and his mother visit the doctor, who informs them that her cancer cells disappeared. The physician and Hiro's mother are both shocked to hear the news. On their way back home, 6 police officers surround them. Apparently, they have come to interrogate Hiro about the murders. So while his mother asks him about what Hiro has done, he runs away for his life. As he is about to get arrested, he uses his powers to get away. He eventually kills 3 of the officers by shooting them. They can now say that Hiro is the one responsible for the murders. The next day, his photos are all over the news. So while everyone is looking for him, Shion finds him on a bridge and takes him home. Irrespective of his crimes, she lets him stay with her as long as he wants. Her house is a great hideout spot since she lives with her old grandmother. On the other hand, Ichiro has gotten better at shooting with his fingers, but he gets really thirsty when using his power. Turns out, Ichiro needs water to power his machine, but he is unable to drink anything that has salt in it. Later, Mari sees his father hanging out with Naoyuki. Upon being asked, he lies to Mari and runs away. Soon, the media starts attacking Hiro's mother. She apologizes to the victims and their families, yet she receives death threats on the internet and is harassed on the streets. Hiro can't help but cry when he sees his mother on TV. but when the guilt becomes too much for her to bear, she commits suicide. Hiro is devastated to find out about his mother's death. Eventually, his sadness turns to anger, and he decides to kill everyone who has ever said any hurtful things to her. So, while he looks through mean comments on the internet, he finds out that he can use the internet to shoot people through their computers and phones. Soon, every single person who had ever criticized his mother is tracked down and killed by him. That evening, Shion notices Hiro chugging water. So, to prove his non-human status to her, he shows her his robotic arm. Moments later, he drags her out of the house and the two of them fly using his parachute. Once they rise above the skyscrapers, he promises to stay with her forever. Meanwhile, the news of 26 more people getting killed while holding their gadgets sends people into shock. The 5 survivors reveal that Hiro appeared on their phone screens moments before being shot. On the flip side, the news of a miracle man healing people with deadly illnesses is also being broadcasted. Worried about what's going to happen next, Ichiro discusses the events with Naoyuki when Mari overhears them talking and confronts him about it. But Ichiro leaves without answering her. Later that night, a group of snipers suddenly starts firing on Shion's house. Hiro manages to kill all of them, yet he is helpless when it comes to saving a dying Shion. Now that Shion is dead, Hiro has nothing to live for. The feeling of revenge makes his brain go numb, and he flies out the window, shocking the police officers who have surrounded the house. After seeing what Hiro is up to, Ichiro requests his family to avoid using smartphones, but they ignore him, as usual. Hiro, who has decided to kill everyone, hacks each and every smartphone in Tokyo and publicly makes an announcement that he has declared war on Japan. Moments later, he starts shooting directly through the billboard. The city goes into a state of chaos as hundreds of people are killed in less than a minute. On the other hand, Ichiro starts hearing voices of innocent people crying for help. Ichiro and Naoyuki take control of the situation by hacking into every computer and warning people to avoid using their computers and smartphones. As a result, people switch off their phones and computers. When Hiro finds out there is another person just like him, he changes his original plan and starts firing missiles at different points throughout the city. As the situation intensifies, Ichiro manages to find Hiro and rushes to stop him. The two meet face to face at the top of a building. Ichiro makes an unsuccessful attempt to comfort Hiro before they engage in a fight and fly around chasing each other. Mari is among the many innocent people hurt by Hiro's missiles. Suddenly, Ichiro hears Mari begging for help. Eventually, they end up on top of a building where Ichiro asks Hiro to stop once again, but he refuses. With no other option left, Ichiro knocks Hiro down for a moment and sneakily drops the water bottle containing the salty water. Hiro chugs the water down without understanding the effects of salt. He then launches an ocean of missiles at Ichiro. Just as he is about to kill Ichiro with the last shot, the sodium water makes him weak. Hiro realizes that Ichiro has set him up and that he is the villain of the story. Ichiro then attacks him with a bunch of missiles and rushes to rescue Mari. Using his ability to heal people, he saves her just as she is about to die. They hug each other when Hiro shows up once more and kicks Ichiro. He then kills the rest of the people in the building, including Mari. Ichiro rushes to help Mari when Hiro overpowers him and throws Mari out the window. This angers Ichiro to the point where he multiplies his powers. Ichiro and Hiro both jump at each other, but this time Ichiro's strength overpowers Hiro's and he manages to disassemble his arm. Ichiro then catches Mari before she hits the ground and heals her bleeding body. Seeing this, Mari realizes she was wrong about her father while Ichiro flies away to save others. The movie ends with the announcement of Hiro's death while the hero is still a mystery.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Leave us a like to help us out. And comment your thoughts on the video. Stay awesome.